My name is Lloyd Henderson, and I'm with the Sachse Historical Society, and we are collecting interviews with people who are here in Sachse, especially city leadership. I'm here today with Billy George, who's the current city manager of the city of Sachse, to just get some background information about him and something about his work that he's been doing since he's been here. Well, Billy, it's been a pleasure knowing you, and I'm sorry to hear that you're leaving, but I know that North Texas Municipal Water District is getting a good man, and it's going to be good for them, and they made good choices. So,
thanks, Lloyd. Appreciate that.
Billy, let's start. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you were raised, where you grew up, your schooling, your education, all that kind of thing?
Sure. I grew up, most of my growing up was done in Stephenville, Texas. It's a town of about 15,000, southwest of Fort Worth. So growing up in a rural setting, we got to enjoy all that part of life, brings with the outdoors and being out in the country. I growing up in Stephenville, I went to Chamberlain Elementary School and Stephenville Intermediate School, Stephenville Junior High, and Stephenville High School. Mm-hmm. There's only one of each, so those are the ones. My folks taught at the college there, Tarleton State University, and I was there and heavily involved in athletics and, of course, academics and extracurricular activities. Afterwards, I went off to the Air Force and eventually made my way to Texas Tech University, where I studied civil engineering and got my bachelor's degree. My Air Force commitments got me stationed out in Virginia, and after I completed my active duty commitment, my wife and I, of 17 years now, stayed out there and really started our family and started our lives. I started my engineering consulting career out there, and I worked on a master's degree from the College of William and Mary, Master's of Business Administration. And that was about the same time, finishing that up, that I got my professional engineering license. Our family was growing. Our kids were getting of an age where they weren't just babies anymore. We wanted them to grow up closer to their grandparents, closer to home. So we came back to North Texas and settled in, first in Wiley, and then a few years later moved down here to Sachse. And it's been a great ride so far. The Lord's blessed us very much.
Well, that's great. It's nice to have that kind of a feeling about your past and everything. Stephenville's kind of known as a rodeo town. Did you do any rodeoing while you were growing up?
I didn't do any rodeoing, but there was plenty of jobs when I was in high school you could go take, the kind of jobs that encourage you to go to college.
Oh, good.
I built plenty of fence, and I worked on dairies, and I worked around farms and ranches around there. And but it was a real good upbringing, and having a small town like that, and it's just a community of sport that comes along that with high school athletics and identity and a feeling of community. And one of the things that attracted us to this area of the Metroplex is Sachse being a smaller community in the Metroplex. We found a lot of that same element here.
Right. So, well, tell us more about your family.
Sure. My wife, Carrie, and I, we've been married 17 years. We actually met in high school, in Stephenville High School, and first time we dated, I didn't have a driver's license yet. She was the older woman with a car. But we ended up getting married after she had already graduated college from Texas Tech as well. But we got married my last year at Texas Tech. That was 1997. I've got a daughter, Emma, who is now 12, and a son, Tyler, who's 11. And they're both involved here in the community, in the church, and in their schools.
That's good. Sound like a wonderful family in there.
I'm kind of partial, I think.
I think so. And it really takes a good family to support this, the kind of work that you do, too. A lot of patience and understanding that you don't work just in the daytime, you work at nighttime, too. And there are times when you're not available for some of that stuff that they're doing, so that's really good. Well, how long have you been here in Sachse now? And also, now I understand you didn't come in as city manager, so tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. When we moved back to North Texas, and that was 2005, I was working in the consulting world, engineering consulting world, working for all around the Metroplex, really, designing projects. In 2008, about that time, I decided that I wanted my career to be in public service. In the public sector, I wanted to serve people. We were living in Wiley at the time, and the city engineer job came open here in Sachse. The first city engineer had just left. He had a short tenure here. And I threw my name out there, and a couple months later, I found myself with a much shorter commute.
Yeah.
So that was yes, that was 2008. I started here as the city engineer, and we immediately got busy working on some whole package of bond projects and managing the development that was coming at the time, and still that we see today in 2015. It's been a great journey. It's been a lot of fun. In 2011, the city manager who hired me, the city of Gonzales, Texas, but I put my name in to become the next city manager and went through the selection process, and the council was gracious enough to give me an opportunity, and it's been fun ever since.
Well, what brought about that kind of decision to make a career change from engineering to a management position, management of the city?
That's a really good question. I found in my engineering career that the kind of challenges that got me the most excited were the ones that were difficult to solve. There was not a prescribed solution. You had to be creative. You had to try to solve those challenges using your own talents and abilities and working in teams. And what I found working as a city engineer in a smaller community in Sachse, you get to be involved in a lot of decisions and processes and initiatives that aren't limited to the engineering world. They're very diverse. And so when I had the opportunity to chase playing a bigger role in public service, number one, and number two, solving those tough challenges, I jumped at it, and it's been a blessing to me. Never a dull moment, always very engaging, and working with an excellent team here has just made it just that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah. Well, explain to us. Let me put it this way. I found when I was city manager that a lot of my friends never really understood the difference between a city manager and a mayor. So would you explain to us exactly what your job entails, and just briefly what the mayor does? But briefly, what does your job really entail?
You mentioned that, and it is interesting that I find that same thing very often. In the corporate world, which the council manager form of government really patterns the corporate governance, where you have in the corporate world, a board of directors with a chairman of the board, or chairperson of the board, and then you'll have a chief executive officer, the CEO. And that board of directors makes all of the guiding decisions for the organization, and hires that chief executive officer, and ultimately is responsible for how that chief executive officer runs the operation. And in the city council manager form of government is very, very similar. The mayor is the chairman of the council, if you will, and then you have the entire council, which are all elected officials. Their primary job is to set all the policies for the city, to tell us the direction the city's going to go, and then secondly, to make the key hiring decisions for the personnel, and those being in Sachse, those being the city manager, the city secretary, the city attorney, the judge, and then the city prosecutor. The city manager's role then is to implement the council's policies and see that those things get done, and then is also the leader of the organization itself, and makes ultimately all of the decisions in terms of personnel matters, and then internal policies and organization and initiatives that we do. So, so if it runs very similarly to a large corporation, just that our board is not an appointed body; it's elected by the public. So ultimately, the citizens are in charge of what we do all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So really the council sets the rules, the city manager carries out enforcement of those rules by the various different departments in the city. And
That's exactly right.
Very good.
That's exactly right.
Well, now, how long have you been here as city manager?
Since 2011.
Okay, so what are some of the significant changes that have come about since that time that you can look back and say that you had a hand in and you feel good about getting that done for the city?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's been a number of things. Sachse, through this entire time, and even when I came in 2008, and we will continue to be a community in transition.
Mm-hmm.
Every community, change is just the reality. Change is constant. The only constant. Our position in our municipal life cycle is that of just is a fast-growing community.
Mm-hmm.
People are coming here at a rate faster than really it puts a strain on the city itself to keep up with the services and the infrastructure and the needs of the community. So one of the constants of the entire period is just that we continue to manage that growth, manage that change, try to continually anticipate what the future is going to look like, and then create that future.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 3 years, we have seen the ending of what we call the Great Recession, which is felt nationwide and then here locally too, and that has been a real challenge with just the tightening of the oil economy and the world economy too. We have seen just last year, 2014, we saw a record number of housing permits here in Sachse. So we just had right after the Great Recession's over, we just saw the record growth year in Sachse at the same time.
Yeah.
We also saw the opening of a couple of major retailers in Sachse.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to last year, our largest retailer was a full-service grocery store, which is known as Kroger. Today, though, we have an over 50,000 square foot supercenter in town, in the Walmart Supercenter, and we've got another local service grocery store in the community as well. What I think we're seeing, and what I think we're going to continue to see, is, I know we're seeing the peak residential, and it will probably continue for another couple of years like that until we approach build out. But we're also seeing, I believe, really the takeoff of Sachse's commercial maturization.
Yeah.
Those two projects that I mentioned just a moment ago are open, and those are significant for a community our size.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not a larger city. Might open up a couple of those a year and never really notice it in terms of community impact and direct financial infusion into the services that are provided.
Right.
A city like Sachse, it does see it.
Yeah.
But we also have a national chain coming in with an LA Fitness with a local sophisticated fitness amenity that our citizens can use if they choose. So that's going to continue, and it's been really it's been fun to be a part of that and watching those changes come about. Because in 2008, when I first came here, the George Bush stopped it before it got here.
Right.
And Highway 78 was 4 lanes wide, and the community had just passed its largest bond election ever with the 2006 bond package. So in a very short period of time, the face of the community has changed completely. Now, but the heart of the community is still rooted and hasn't lost sight of who it is.
Yeah.
And it's very attractive, and it's a neat, makes it a special place.
Yeah, it is a very special place. I think the thing that has amazed me more than anything, of course, I came here in 1985 and I retired in 98. And I would never have anticipated the quality of homes that have been built here. By that I mean not only well constructed, but I mean the income level of people that have come into this town. I would never have guessed that it would have been as high as it has, because in those days we were looking at pretty much an average type house, you know, on an 85 square foot lot at the largest. And but to me, it's just shocking that in just a short time it made that change and got out of that pattern into a higher level of income and a higher level of homes here. It's just, I never cease to be amazed at that. Well, I understand that you're moving on to a different job, and I commend you for that. I congratulate you. I think you made a good decision in going with North Texas Water District. We wish you the best. What will you be doing there with North Texas Municipal Water District?
Well, you know, first, that decision to transition was really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's a top-notch team here in Sachse, and I really do love working with them, and I care about everybody who's here. With the district, I'm going to be taking over the water distribution system for the complete one, from the reservoirs to the cities, including the water treatment. For me, what it does is, you know, I'm able to serve the public here on a scale of about 22,000 lives, you know, those who live here and call Sachse home. When I transition to the district, I'll be serving a base of about 1.6 million with all the folks in North Texas who are served by the water of the district. So, but I will be overseeing that, ultimately responsible for all those operations, and then working closely with the 13 member cities and 33 customers. Because the district is a water wholesaler. They have 3 primary missions. One is water supply, 2 is water treatment, and then 3 is our solid waste handling for select of the customer cities and member cities. So it's for me, it ends up being a transition to public service on a little bit bigger scale. Is what it is.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do a great job while you're there. Now, I mean, looking back, I think most of us say, well, you know, I'd done some things differently if I had a chance to do it over again. You got any things that you do differently now?
Well, I wouldn't have done anything differently. I did it right the first time.
There you go. Oh, come on now. Come on. Yeah. Okay.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, there are, and especially in my case, in the transitioning from a role of a department head with a city engineer into a role as a city manager, the things that I did early and carried through that I'm proud of, they all center on team building and people development. Those are the keystones that I'm proud of how we did. But certainly coming on board as a city manager, learning your way into that kind of an executive role, and the responsibility comes with it. You do stub your toe, and things take longer than they should, perhaps, in terms of getting initiatives done, helping promote a culture that you'd like to see, a culture of excellence and service. But you learn through those, and it's a very natural process. I think everybody goes through it who wants to step in a highly visible and challenging role like that. So, in terms of things I would have done different, you know, I probably would have paid more attention to what my mother taught me when I was growing up about how to live right and do right. But you know, everything that we did that maybe didn't happen as easily or smoothly as it could have, you know, I don't lose sleep or worry about those things, because the truth is that's how we as people develop and grow. And if we get the growth and we get the development, that's what really matters, because then that is what will be brought to bear tomorrow, and then the next tomorrow, and the next tomorrow. That's what really matters.
Well, good. Well, Billy, as we began, I introduced this as a video of the Sachse Historical Society. May we use this video in some of the promotional stuff that we've done?
Yes, you may.
Okay,
sure.
We appreciate that very much. And we wish you lots of luck on your new job. You're not moving so far away that you're still living in town here, so you're still one of us. And but on behalf of the Historical Society, I want to say thank you, because the city has really worked hand in glove with the society and Economic Development Corporation. It's just been a wonderful relationship, and your office has always been open to us. Your suggestions have been helpful to us, and we just appreciate you very, very much, and just wish you the best in the future as you move on.
Well, thank you, Lloyd. You know, it's we can't forget where we came from,
Yeah.
or we won't get to where we need to be.
That's right, that's right. And you've created some memories here that will always be with you.
Yeah.
And you've met some people here that will always be your friends. And then there's those people you'll always remember for one reason or another. But there's a host of people here that love you and wish the best for you.
Well, thank you, Lloyd. I appreciate it.
Yeah.